Hello, and thank you for joining us on this live edition of Transcending Ascension as we bring you day 2 of A Course in Miracles, joined today by Samantha Consciously. Thank you for being here today, Sam.
Yeah, thank you for having me. A pleasure as always.
Yes, it's been a bit, but that's how life is. Sometimes we'll do a lot, sometimes we'll do none. But today we have day 2. So before we start off today, I just want to start with the clip to give us a launching off point. It's the one I mentioned earlier about the grit you can find in A Course in Miracles, and then we'll launch off from that point. But here we go with this. Still no faster at this. Okay, and here we go.
In the A Course in Miracles workbook, and I'm cracking up at how metal these lessons are. It seems to me that people think that something called A Course in Miracles is about angels and old lady stuff. However, the reality is, it is so extremely punk rock, it's hilarious. Here's today's lesson. Lesson 11. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. The point is that our perception, our thoughts, create our world. We see separation and violence, or we see unity and peace. And we're all children of the Creator, so we can also create. A Course is merely reminding us of this. Even the first lesson is so amazing and offensive to people. Lesson 1. Nothing I see in this room means anything.
Exactly. So day 11 will still keep us in that grit we found in day 1, and we're going to find again in grade 2, and day 2 grade, and it's going to be that way for the first 30 days because it's stripping away perceptions. But Samantha, what are your thoughts?
That was interesting. I think he touched on something that we touched on last time, which I really want to revisit, because it's this idea that, it's a good bothering course. I mean, we say good bothering because that's kind of the conception of mainstream people that look to external religion, when they're not really in a religion themselves. They can kind of have this preconception that, where people that practice religion are kind of evangelical, and they're forcing indoctrination on you, and it's got all these kind of, like, it was on about the old lady thing, like with the angels, and I could imagine somebody sat there, with the doilies and her cup of tea and her, a McVitie's biscuits or whatever. But he's right, it isn't that, and it's stripping away that as well. But I can see the resistance, because we've chatted about this before, haven't we? The resistance kind of comes up because it's asking you to look at your preconceptions. It's asking you to look at what do you kind of what ideas and beliefs have you got around things which aren't true, basically. And that's what you run about the 30 days, which is great, because it's stripping that away and it's giving you a fresh canvas. And he talked about this point of creation, and that's what it's giving you. It's giving you a blank piece of paper to start to write your own story.
Yes. And that's what I love about that rock and roll kind of energy, that chaos magic energy, because it has a time and a place if you use it precisely. It has that, and that's what the first 30 days are. They're the rock and roll. They're the shaking of the chaos to rip away the old perceptions so that you can, come with me with an empty cup. It's like an old monk philosophy. You cannot fill up a cup that's full, and you cannot learn new perceptions if your old ones are still locked into place. It's simply not possible. So what does the Course offer us? Where can we look into the Course for bettering our self-development? Now, we're going to keep going through the days, and we're going to keep bringing you core concepts. And the first day, I didn't really want to dive into the history because so many people have done it. But in case you were curious, I have a very brief outlay of how you can look at the Course yourself, how you can see the benefits that are within it, and the best ways that you can use this in your own life, because this course really is a course in ascension itself. So here we go. So A Course in Miracles. So your book can either look like that, or it can look like this one. So there's a black version and there's the purple version. I haven't seen other versions. There might be more. But this is our book. And A Course in Miracles is a spiritual text channeled by Helen Schuckman. In the 1970s, it presents a non-dualistic, Christ-centered philosophy aimed at healing the mind and releasing fear through forgiveness and the remembrance of love as our true identity. It's not a religion, but a spiritual curriculum focused on inner transformation through a shift in perception, from fear to love, from ego to spirit. So just core teachings that you're going to find in A Course in Miracles are: the world is an illusion, and that's our first 30 days here. The physical world is a projection of the ego, not reality. Reality is pure spirit, unchanging, eternal love. Eternal love. Number 2 is ego versus spirit. The ego is the voice of separation, fear, and suffering. The spirit or Holy Spirit is the voice of love, unity, and peace, because that's our truth. And the ego is the version of us that got here and went, oh shit, who the fuck am I? Like, quite literally. And it's that shock programming that's been obsessed with survival ever since. And it will tinker around, but ultimately it's for its own survival in one way, shape, or form. So number 3 is forgiveness is the path to miracles. True forgiveness doesn't condone the illusion, but sees past it to the innocence and unity beneath all illusions. Number 4 is miracles are shifts in perception. Now, this is key, especially if you understand timelines or quantum jumping, same thing, different name. Miracles are changes in how we see, from guilt to grace, fear to love, attack to compassion. They correct the mind. And number 5, we are not separate beings. We are still as God created us, whole, innocent, and connected. The journey is about remembering, not becoming. And those of us that have been on this journey of remembering and what we call gnosis will agree that when you actually do get this information and it comes,
A Course in Miracles work.
And it comes into, oh my God, it comes into your system, you just gnosis it. Like, maybe better computer skills one day. But what are your thoughts, Sam?
No, I thought that was great. I thought the little error there was great as well, because it shows that there's nothing that isn't meant to be. That we put all these teachings together, and what that actually shows is that we're all perfectly where we are. Everything is perfect. Even the ego is perfect. And that isn't saying that we don't have a place where we can take it, because the whole point of coming here, in my opinion, is refinement. And like you said, this remembering, which is the big thing, isn't it? Because we already know everything. Everything is already in existence. We're just remembering who we are, which is this whole complete being. And the point of being here in separation is to know ourselves as different types of love. So I've spoken about this a couple of times. Last week, I had, following the Course in Miracles, it kind of opened the floodgates. This real kind of samadhi type experience where I essentially slipped into like this universal stream of consciousness, I'm going to call it. And it was this universal flow of love. And within that, I was able to then access higher knowings and deeper understanding of the teachings that I've already been learning on my journey and my path. And it consolidated that. And what that actually taught me was that we're all exactly where we are, and everything is made of love. Now, that isn't just some fluffy kind of teaching, oh, everything's made of love. It is physically the very, I'm going to say, it's everything. It's the force. It's what everything is made of. It's the thing that propels us forward. It is this idea of love. And I think love doesn't even do it justice as a word, because of the whole totality of what that actually is. And I think what this is actually doing, and that in itself was a miracle. The fact that I was able to, on such a short space of time, I'd been maybe reading this for a week or something, but I'd formed a coherence with the teachings of this, because it's got its own kind of energy and its own body and its own momentum. And if you kind of think about all the people that have accessed this and all the people that have utilized the energy behind it, it is a miracle in itself, and it will align you with that frequency and that state of being, and it will bring these experiences into you. And I'm not saying that everybody who does this is going to, have a samadhi-like experience and know that the nature of the universe is live and really feel it and experience that. But we all get what we need, So if you're doing this and you're doing it, it's going to change your life. and this is what we always talk about, it's a tool to change not just your perception, because that isn't what the whole journey is about. You know, we're on this ascension path because we want to change and we want to get better and we want to live in love. And this is going to help you do that. And it will, again, look different for everybody. But the things that you are then going to magnetize, because that's what you're doing, you're essentially, you're forming coherence, you're becoming magnetic to these things that we call miracles. And you're going to bring this stuff into your life and your life is going to change. So the big takeaway that I actually had from that, with the thing is love, was how can we live as love? How can we do that? And I don't have the answer to that completely. And again, it will look different to everybody, but it's finding that state, that place, that stillness where you can move forward, where you're not encumbered by these false thoughts and false beliefs. And then you can start to create, you can bring that love into your life and it will emanate out into everything that you do. And it's finding practical ways to bring that. So for instance, judgment is a really good one. We go through our lives with all these judgments or these preloaded ideas, and it's all based on what's come before us. And when you start to strip that away, you're not judging things for what you think they are. You start to see them for what they actually are. And then you can start to build true and real reality.
Absolutely. Perfectly put. Like, well said. That's exactly it. And like, just to add kind of like lived examples of what you're saying, like that breaking of perception and that being able to love wherever you are. Well, when you take, okay, like if you're in a really low state, you mentioned you get what you need. Well, when you're in a really low state, it's probably because you have thoughts like, I'm not enough, I'm shit, I deserve punishment, guilt, shame, and blame. All these things circulate as your perceptions, as your beliefs on yourself. And the subconscious hears every single thing you say as you're talking to yourself. So even if you think, oh, I'm so great, but you're an idiot. Nuh-uh. Your subconscious hears you calling yourself an idiot. And that's why such people usually end up getting nastier and they won't even know why, because they are calling themselves that every time and thereby solidifying those perceptions, thereby giving them experiences that they need, as Sam was saying, because that's how reality is. Everything is a computer program. The simulation theories are correct. It's just much more divine than they like to lay it out. It's a divine hologram. It's a divine simulation. We are divine computer programs. And in that, we are creator beings, which means we affect the algorithm that is Earth. So with our thoughts and our perceptions and our beliefs, it's why changing yourself is changing the world. Heal yourself, heal the world, because it creates that ripple. And not to mention the simple fact that you will just switch timelines. So like you do create ripples throughout time and space, but ultimately you actually just level up. So you don't even need to worry about, did those ripples heal everybody else? Doesn't matter, because those ripples probably did something, but as well shot you up into higher realms of existence with love, with new beliefs and new perceptions, because as Sam said, love is more than love. Love is an entire frequency of existence. It is that Christ space that we talk of, yet more, because that Christ space came alive and lives within that realm. But that realm itself, as far as we can tell and as far as we have learned, is the total realm. That is the all of the all. That is love. Love is creation. Existence is an orgasm. Like all of creation is a constant orgasm. So what makes sense that what came before that was love, right? So all these things come together, and the Course in Miracles just finds a way to give you such, I want to almost say silly instructions that actually do revolutionarily change your mind, which change your life.
Absolutely. That was beautifully put. I lived that when you mentioned the orgasm, because that's what it is. That's what love is. It's just that's what an orgasm is. It's love in motion. We are literally God's orgasm. We're just a living emanation of it. And it's just petering out. And the thing is, what is an orgasm? What was the point of that? I mean, we're going in a bit of a sojourn in there, but I do want to kind of touch on it. It's bliss state. And I mean, if you go and look at Tantra, when you go back to this love, this bliss state, you're actually just merging with God. That's the whole point of it. And I love what you were saying about, you know, being in this the frequency, because it is literally, like you're saying, it's changing the timelines. We can look at it from a mechanical point of view because we need that as a human. We need that to kind of get our head around what's happening. So we have to have these kind of constructs that we build so we can conceptualize what's going on. Obviously, it's more than that. But when we start to think about timelines and how we move and how we change our life, because that, again, going back to that is the point of doing this. There's no good reading it and thinking, I'm just going to know the information. It's like, what are you going to do with it? When you start to open your mind, what you also are doing, like, I love what you were talking about, Diana, about people that are in these negative mindsets and these thought loops. So if you're in that and you start to do this, it's going to ask you to look at why. Why are you having these thought loops? And you start to realize that we are the creators of our own suffering. And we create this suffering through attachment, essentially. And it's very, very Zen Buddhist. But when you can start to release that, it's the same with the forgiveness philosophy. You're not forgiving to condone an action because everything's just as it's meant to be. You're recognizing it and you're choosing to say, I'm going to let this go. Because the more you grab onto those negative emotions, the more you're pulling it into your life and you're condensing it into these, we're going to say, lower timelines, these lower frequencies. It's not quite right, but it's just for you to get your head around it. But what you're doing is you're releasing that because timelines flow through us. We're not riding them as such. We are the timeline. And when you start to realize that, you realize that personal responsibility is key. And this is what this will do. It will give you the tools you need to take responsibility for the way that you are perceiving reality. And that's essentially that's the bottom of it, really.
Yes. And that's why, like, everybody who's been listening to my teachings for however long will know that sovereign discernment is part and parcel with ascension. Like, the two go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. You can't be in blame and still be ascending. Even shame and guilt, honestly, I don't want to give them any permissions, but I can see how you could work and still have those, but not blame, because blame is a direct block from an incoming lesson. It's a direct block. So you cannot move forward if you have that. You have to have sovereign discernment, because for one, if you're not using your discernment, okay, and then you make a mistake and want to blame someone else, okay, well, you were not discerning enough. And even if it wasn't your fault whatsoever, you still have the sovereignty to take personal responsibility for exactly what happened. And discernment, if you don't know the term, I use it all the time, and it's getting very known in the spiritual world, I think mostly thanks to Sarah. And this term is like judgment, except not. It's without any of the negativity whatsoever. It's simply, what I now realize is like viewing timelines and actually using your ability to energetically, not don't go too far, don't go nuts, but you have the ability to watch, like in movies, and you see the things circle around you, to be like, oh, this could happen. Because when you are tapped in the flow state, and then depending on your emotion, like your authority type, like in human design or whatever your astrological makeup is, that's going to come to you differently. You're going to get the information in different ways. So you do need to play around and learn your own intuition. But once you do, you now are a sovereign discerning machine that can do all kinds of things. Will things still come up? Yes. But it means every time that you end up fine tuning your actual intuition, because you, using your sovereign discernment, can see, oh, like I felt this and thought that was going to mean that, but I actually should have realized that was going to mean that. And you don't want to go overboard with overthinking it. But we are our own test subjects here in this age that we find ourselves at, the birth of the age of Aquarius. So we have to be the ones to test this out so that we can become like the ones to help pass it on. The children are just naturally going to get more capable at it, and they need that help, because if you don't understand these intuitive powers, like what started as just being an empath and then a starseed is now growing. Like, and you hear angel seed, but honestly, it needs something else, which is just like activated humans that have now powers. But the powers are simple and less Hollywood than we realized, except they are still, if not more, valuable for actually upgrading your life and changing all of society.
Beautifully put. I loved that. I loved what you were saying about the discernment. I think it's observation without, I love what you were saying, without judgment. When you're discerning, you're literally seeing things without the blinkers. and this is the difference. I think a lot of people get stuck in this, oh, well, it's just a judgment. It's not. A judgment is when you attach something. It's like a charge, an energetic charge to something, and then it gives it momentum. This is what emotions are. I mean, going back into that ego thing that it mentioned before, this is where the ego kind of comes in, because the ego essentially is run by emotion. That isn't saying emotions are bad. We need an ego. We need an ego to come here. We need it to experience the whole plethora of this 3D physical world. And that's the whole point of it. So it isn't saying it's bad. What it's saying is you need to know what it's doing, basically, because you don't want to be a passenger in the ego's car. You want to be in the driving seat, and the ego is just going to propel you forward. It's going to allow you to see everything that's going on, and it's going to allow you to make informed decisions when it's under control. So it's essentially making friends with the ego. It isn't having this resistance, but it's not letting it rule the roost, because I think that's the problem, isn't it? When we're hurt, when we're in any kind of resistance to good, the ego is saying, oh, I must be safe. I must be safe. It literally is telling you to do things that might not even be in your best interest, because it's from this lower state. And when you start to release that and letting the emotions and things take hold of you, you're moving into these higher godly states. That isn't saying that, we're going to be the guy in the clouds or whatever, but it gives you access to these higher streams of information. It gives you a higher perspective, because essentially what I've found the Course in Miracles is telling me is everything is perfect as it is. Love is perfect. Everything is made of perfect. But the way that you utilize that, it's the level of perception that you reach it to, because there is no one truth. There's the whole totality, which is truth, which is God, which we're never going to get in 3D world, So it's finding the highest expression of truth that you can, which is the broadest expression that you can see. And that's what letting this go does. And it's when you start to do that, that is how you then start to tame the ego, because you're seeing it from pure truth.
Perfect. That's perfectly put. And an exact way to lead us into day 2. We're going to have a bit of an earlier episode. We've got to wrap up in 15 minutes. I have kids to get from school, but actually I don't need my book. I have it online. But we're going to do our day 2, and then we're going to end it with a brief meditation, which Sam and I will just lead. If Sam's okay with that, she can prepare herself and we'll just throw it back and forth shamanically and bring what comes through to you, just to integrate and solidify, as well as just permeate that aura with this new incoming information. But first, our lesson. So here we go. Okay, so day 2. Oh, no. Okay, that was the school. Day 2. I have given everything I see in this room, on the street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning that it has for me. The exercises with this idea are the same as those for the first one. Begin with the things that are near you and apply the idea to whatever your glance rests on. Then increase the range outward. Turn your head so that you include whatever it is on either side. If possible, turn around and apply the idea to what was behind you. Remain as indiscriminate as possible in selecting subjects for its application. Do not concentrate on anything in particular, and do not attempt to include everything you see in a given area. You will induce strain. Merely glance easily and fairly quickly around you, trying to avoid selection by size, brightness, color, material, or relative importance to you. Take the subjects simply as you see them. Try to apply the exercise with equal ease to a body or a button, a fly or a floor, an arm or an apple. The sole criteria for applying the idea to anything is merely that your eyes have lightened on it. Make no attempt to include anything particular, but be sure that nothing is specifically excluded. Okay, so yes, that is very similar to yesterday or day 1. If you're binge watching this in the future, it could very well be yesterday to you, though. And we are just removing those perceptions. So it sounds like I have to go, and there's probably a school thing because the school called and then my husband called. So let's wrap up with our meditation. That lesson is close enough to yesterday. I feel like if people are on a roll and we've talked enough about perceptions, we would just be repeating ourselves anyways. So we're tearing down those perceptions. So let's get into that meditative state while I put my phone into do not disturb, and we start channeling in that God self. We start connecting in to our God spark in the middle of our chest. If you have not found it yet, people, I recommend it, because once you do, you can slip back into a meditative state extremely easily, much more than you ever would have thought possible before.
Yeah. And I would always say as well, you can train the body to get back into that state. So if you take 3 deep breaths and you center that again, anchor it into the chest. So you breathe in through the nose, hold it, feel it, expand it into that chest cavity, and start to feel the Christ light come alive within you. Feel the warmth and the love, and expand that out as you exhale. And do that again, deep breath, and feel it deepen. Feel the love expand outwards. Feel it start to permeate more of your being, moving to your arms and your legs. And again, breathe again. Filling yourself up completely, allowing that golden light to expand out into your biofield and out into the universe as you feel the one connection with the infinite, the all. And as you make that connection to source consciousness, start to consider what your views and beliefs on this are, what your views and beliefs on God are, and what you're creating in the now. And begin to just let them drift through your mind, one at a time. And the aim of this is to let them go, one by one. Feel the love for each thing as it comes into your mind. Its importance is only as relevant as you give it. As you release it, you release the attachment to each thing, each person, each belief. Let it radiate out. And as you fill yourself up completely, begin to merge completely with that God source consciousness. Open your heart to it. Allow it into your life. Allow God to guide you. Allow God to take you where you need to go, where you want to go for your highest expression in this physical existence. And just sit with that for a moment. Feel how good it feels to be back into oneness with God. And as you feel the love emanating from the source of all creation, begin to perceive your body again, your fingers, your toes. Begin to wiggle them, come back into your body. Become aware of the breath. Become aware of the seat and the floor beneath you. And when you are ready, open your eyes.
Beautiful. I felt that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sam. And thank you so much for being here, everybody, today for our day 2 of A Course in Miracles. We will keep this going all however many years it takes us to actually do the whole thing. We're going to do it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sam. And we'll see you all again next time. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Round and round the world we spin. Who knows where we're going? Up into ascension we sail. Pop goes the matrix. Here we stand and here we rise. God resides inside you. You are God, and everything is pop goes the matrix. Children, you are deeply loved. Children, you are special. Never feel alone inside. God lives inside you.